Good afternoon, everyone. I'm so excited to see you today. Looks like the weather's turning out to be another great sunny day. I did get rained on earlier today though, so, and that's rained a little bit. But again, welcome. We're excited that you're here today. We're really looking forward to hearing an update from Valdosta State University. So looking forward to that. As we get started, Raylene's going to do our invocation today, but please do continue to keep Dr. George Henry in your thoughts and prayers. I believe the service for Helen is this Friday, so please remember that. Raylene?
May we pray. Father God, we gather here today under your care and protection. Thank you for your amazing power and work in our lives. Thank you for food to nourish our bodies and truth to enlighten us so we may grow wise to do thy will. Thank you for your loving kindness that never fails us. Thank you for those with us as you guide our thoughts and actions to bring you glory. May we continue to grow as Rotarians so we can stand in our community as a symbol of those willing to freely put service above self. In times of fear and panic, let us be the force of calm. Let those who are trembling find us safe to lean upon. To those who are most distressed, may we bring hope through even the toughest of times. Strengthen us and fill us with your peace. Amen.
Please join me in the prayer. Thank you. Please be seated. And now Raylene is also going to introduce our guests today.
I promise you I'm not going to try to be your speaker today. When I call your name, please rise so that we can all see you and be able to talk with you after. With our speaker from Valdosta State University, we have Merritt Wall and Rick Monroe. And then as guests of the club and very closely connected to Valdosta, I believe, Helen Rice and Mariana Flowers. Thank you. Welcome. We appreciate you all being here and invite you back anytime.
Thank you, Raylene. And you all have noticed like we have a little bit of a different setup today. They left the room as it was from Gridiron last night, so we'll probably be back to our usual setup, but no, maybe this will work well for us. So anyway, I do have a few birthdays and anniversaries to announce today. Martha Allred's birthday was yesterday, so happy birthday to Martha. And Carlton Wood's birthday is Friday, so happy birthday to Carlton. Club member anniversaries, Tabitha Coverson has three years on October 27th, or had 3 years. Dr. Killebrew had 42 years on October 27th. Curtis Brown, 7 years on November 1st, and Lynn Morgan, 8 years on November 2nd. And then we really don't have any wedding anniversaries this week, but last week I witnessed a very important wedding anniversary. Bill Stumpf and his wife Melissa have been married for 42 years. So congratulations, Bill. We have a few club announcements before we get to Happy Dollars. Barbara, do you want to come this way or stand there? Okay.
Thank you everyone for contributing to the International Polio Awareness Day. Thank you so much. Also, thank you for showing up on Thursday and helping out. Everybody pitched in. It was a great event. Even as you were barely show up, he looks great. And also, I had like 6 of my kids come from the Interact Club, so it was an exciting evening. Also, I was sitting there saying, you know what? I didn't have a chance to contribute. Well, yes, you do. Today's your last day to contribute. So please, if you haven't, I'll take anything. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Barbara. John Harrow.
A couple of quick things. The Running for Rotary 5K, we had some runners that registered late and we didn't have time to get them a t-shirt. We've ordered those t-shirts. Those runners are on this sheet. and I think several of them may be directly associated with a Rotarian. Will you please look at that? And if you are the Rotarian, write your name here, so I'll know which T-shirts I can hopefully bring here to a meeting, and then y'all can take them to who those people are. Then we'll contact the rest of them and have them pick them up. Also, this Friday, American Red Cross Blood Drive, again at Coleman Community Center from 1:30 to 5:30. Get blood. If you need help registering for that or signing up, let me know or Holly know, and we can help you out with that. Their app works very well to be able to sign up and do everything, and they will remind you also. Thank you.
Thanks, John. So don't forget to sign up, just to plug, there is no substitute for real blood, and you may be able to save 3 lives with your one donation. And because of the hurricanes and the weather, there's been lots of interruptions with blood drops, so it's very important that we all consider giving if we can. Joe Ragland has a club announcement.
Please remember that we will not be meeting here next week. We will meet at the Grange College at the Dixon Assembly Room at Turner Hall, same place we've had it in the past. This will be our annual Walter Y. Murphy Scholarship Luncheon. We'll have a great lunch at the college, a Thanksgiving lunch like we've done in the past. Eric did a great job there. Please plan on attending. We will celebrate our Walter Y. Murphy fellows and donors at that meeting. Some of you, about half a dozen of you, might be just a little bit shy of the next level. $300, $400, $500. You will give it to me. If you think you might be on that list, and we might have to move up to the next level, then please let me know. And parking, please try to park if you're able. Across the other side, we're going to take the bridge over. If you need to park closer, that's fine. Do that, and don't worry about any parking tickets. So remember, the Grange College next week.
Thank you, Joe. Okay, we have a few minutes for Happy Dollars, if anyone has something they'd like to share to celebrate.
The Choral Society of West Georgia is presenting a concert at First Presbyterian Church. So I will have tickets next week, but I will have tickets for 2 weeks, in 2 weeks. Okay? Okay, thank you.
No other Happy Dollars? Okay, well, with that, I am happy to have Steve Boger come up and introduce our program. Steve?
All right, my pleasure today to introduce our speaker, Dr. Richard Carvajal. And this is actually not the first time that as program director, I've listened to Dr. Carvajal speak, and it's not the first time I've introduced him, but it is the first time I've introduced him when we were in the same room. Last time I had him scheduled to speak, he appeared via Zoom. I spoke to probably about 30 people in a room, sitting 3 to a table. He could not observe any facial expression because our faces were covered, and probably the camera was probably blocked by the hand sanitizer sitting on the table. So you may have an idea of when that meeting took place. So it's very, and I'm sure he'll probably touch on some how the world has changed during the last few years in terms of education. But again, I had the opportunity to observe Dr. Carvajal's work quite a bit during the time that I was in the Valdosta area, and I know he is a very ardent cheerleader for his university, Valdosta State University. He assumed the role as president of Valdosta State University in 2017 as the 10th president. And reading some things off his bio, Dr. Carvajal is a living proof of the transformative power of education. His story of someone who grew up in poverty and has had to overcome several obstacles in his life, which he's been able to do due to a commitment to never quit and the incredible influence of many caring mentors throughout his life. And that's something that he carries forward to the VSU staff today in working in an environment, paying it forward to the next generation. Dr. Carball is also a cancer survivor. Another one of those obstacles that he's had to overcome. And he credits many people in South Georgia with helping him recover from that. And that's why he is honored to serve as the president of South Georgia's flagship university. Prior to coming to VSU, Dr. Carball had served as president of Bainbridge State College from 2011 to 2015. He was asked in 2015 by the Chancellor of the University System of the state of Georgia to take over leadership of Dartmouth College, which he did through the transition to Albany State University. And he's also served in the past as Vice President for Student Success Services at Cascadia College in Washington, and has also had similar positions in Kansas, South Carolina, and Illinois. He holds a PhD from the University of South Carolina. I don't know if we have any Gamecocks in the room or not, but he also has a degree in something from Southern Illinois. Hold on a second. Master of Science and college student from Southern Illinois University at Harvard. All right. You know, hey, you're getting what I'm being paid for. He's also married to Dr. Carball, Dr. Cheryl Carball, who is an accomplished educator and writer in Rome. They have two grown children. And in his spare time, he enjoys cheering on his Blazers, who I know have won at least one national championship. How many do you?
Just won our ninth.
Okay, but during your time,
One during my time.
Okay.
Actually, two. No,
Okay.
Two during.
all right, okay, two during his time, and, you know, he is definitely, and that whole community, you know, it's, that community is very proud of its university. That sense of pride, and Dr. Carball surely embodies that. He also enjoys celebrating his culture by cooking and eating Mexican food. And they have two children that he and his wife enjoy spending time with. So no further butchering of his resume.
Well, that's longer than my presentation, so we're going to stop right there. I think you heard everything you need to know about. It is. I really appreciate that. I appreciate the welcome, and it is truly an honor to be with you. We're going to try to tell you about Valdosta State today and why you should care. But first off, I'd be remiss if I'd given the questions I got at my table if I didn't acknowledge the fact that Valdosta is now a bona fide hurricane zone. Right? I understand that it was predicted to come and make its way towards you, and then just decided to make a turn and visit us instead. I do now know what an eye going over your home sounds like and feels like. We've been hit by three hurricanes in the last 13 months. Literally never thought that would be the case in Georgia, but that has been the case. So we've been hit. We lost actually on campus, as I was telling the table, well over 1,200 trees just on our campus alone. So it gives you a sense of the devastation. But proud to say that the institution, we're going to be just fine. So the cleanup is happening and we're rebuilding. And my hope today is that we're going to give you a sense of why you should care about Valdosta State as part of caring about higher education. I'm thrilled to hear about the scholarship that you all just talked about that you're doing at LaGrange College. I have some connection to that institution in the past, so that was exciting. But I want you to know why you should care about all of higher education today and Valdosta State. And so we're going to start by, first off, well, much was described about me in the bio. There's a little bit that you didn't hear. So I want to make sure that you get a chance to see who I am. All right, there you go. So that's a look on me. So if you're worried that you're getting a stepping president today for your presentation, we'll go ahead and squash that right off the bat. More importantly, my mom just likes it when I include this photo in a presentation. It has nothing to do with the rest of the presentation, but I hope you've enjoyed it. More importantly, I'm a longtime Rotarian, so it's great to visit another Rotary Club. In fact, I'm a Paul Harris Fellow, so I absolutely believe in the work that you all are doing here, and I'm excited to see your membership being what it is. As you heard in my bio, I do have something of an unexpected past. I think folks, when they hear that a university president is going to come speak to them, they often make some assumptions. Maybe some of those include that that person kind of grew up with a silver spoon, always sort of knowing where they would head. That is anything but the case for me. Grew up the son of somebody who owned a small janitorial business, and when I say small business, I was his only employee. So we would go out at night and clean office buildings, and then ultimately, when I was in high school for a period, I called the backseat of a 1973 Ford Thunderbird. So I am the university president who was once homeless, and it is very much because of the transformative power of education that my story happened. You now get a sense of why I do what I do. You also heard a mention to the fact that I'm a cancer survivor. Just over 10 years ago, I was diagnosed with pancreatic cancer. If you know anything about cancer, you know I'm not supposed to be here. My doctors call me a 1%er. Actually, just a week ago, I got my latest scan. I remain cancer-free. I truly am the lucky that. I just got really, really fortunate, and I have phenomenal doctors, but I also had, and you heard it mentioned and referred to in my bio, for whatever reason, my story got out. And it got out throughout Georgia, and the love and support that I got from citizens of this state, that's a debt I will never be able to repay. And now you're getting kind of the second piece of why I do what I do and why I'm so proud. Well, you heard that I have lived other places. Georgia's been our home for quite a while now, and we don't plan to be anywhere else. We love this state just like you do. And that's why, while I'm in my third presidency, they've all been in Georgia. Started out in Bainbridge, then I did go to Albany before going to Valdosta State. I've been there 8 years now. Don't have any plans to leave anytime soon. We will likely retire from there because we love it. But it's great to be back in this community. Now, if you didn't know, I do have a real connection to this community. It's pretty significant. I told you I had a connection earlier to LaGrange College. What you didn't know was maybe that wasn't in the bio, and you didn't know that before. But it's pretty real. And so it goes back just a few years, and something really monumental happened in my life. And so we're going to replace the baby photo with a new photo. There you go. That's the last triathlon I ever ran. And I used to do that, and that's actually how I recovered in many ways from my cancer journey, was to get out and start getting active. And before my knees decided that they didn't want to do it anymore, my last one was run going up and down the hills of LaGrange College and in that area. You can see I placed, but yes, that is true. I did get beat by the guy who carried his baby through the entire race. So, you know, that's why it was the last race I ever ran, and I decided enough of that. So there you go. That's a little bit, again, about me that maybe wasn't on the bio, but more importantly, let's talk about why I'm here today, and that is to talk about higher education in our state. My wife works for the Technical College System of Georgia. You all are well serviced by multiple TCSG institutions in your community here. They perform a very valuable service. There are 22 institutions that make up that system. Valdosta State was actually the first university in the state of Georgia to have an articulation agreement with all 22 of those institutions. We absolutely see the value. We work with them every day as partners. We also work closely with our independent colleges. There are 24 institutions that make up the independent college network. Yes, LaGrange College is one of those institutions, one of those 24. And again, we see them very much as partners in the work of educating the next generation of workforce and leaders for our state. And then we get to the university system of Georgia. And that is obviously the system that we are a part of. We are the higher education public system for our state, colleges and universities. There are it says 344,000 total students here. I'll give you some news today, and that is we're about to announce the new system numbers for this fall. We'll go over 350,000 students that are serviced across Georgia, and that's over 48,000 faculty and staff, again, across the system that are trying to improve those students' lives and help them find the best opportunity. Huge annual economic impact. Truly, the fact that the university system exists and services this state makes an everyday impact on everyone's wallet across the system. We actually ask the Terry College of Business every year to do an economic impact study of the dollars, your tax dollars, and tuition dollars that are paid in by our students. As they come in, as you can imagine, they then start bouncing through our entire state. And they do that several times over, ultimately to the impact of $21.9 billion that flows through our state every year simply because the university system exists. Not to mention, obviously, the impact they have on folks' lives, advancing them on as they help them get their degrees and beyond. There are, in fact, 26 institutions in the university system. This ranges from everything from University of Georgia. Any dogs in the room?
Yeah.
There were a few. Any yellow jackets in the room? Georgia Tech? All right. Any Auburn Tigers in the room? Yeah, well, you're being part of our system. Sorry. That's all right. That was too easy. I'm sorry, I had to do that. All right, but obviously University of Georgia and Georgia Tech down to smaller institutions like Gordon State College to your east, Columbus State, and others. And there are 4 sectors that all of those 26 institutions fit into. There's the research sector that is University of Georgia, Georgia Tech, a very large metropolitan institution in downtown Atlanta, Georgia State University, well over 50,000 students, and Augusta State that houses our state's medical college. But then we have 3 other sectors. At the lowest level, we have what are called our state colleges. Again, Gordon State to your east is a good example of those. They tend to be a very geographic or academic niche mission. And then we have state universities, a little larger geographic reach. And Columbus State nearby is an example of one of those. Tend to have offerings up through the master's degree level. But then there are the comprehensive institutions, and there are 4 of us. That includes the University of West Georgia, obviously just down the road, Kennesaw State University, Georgia Southern University, and yes, Valdosta State. And so we're going to talk about VSU in the context of what we do collectively as comprehensive institutions and what we do certainly as a sole institution. All of us share something. The 4 of us share a common approach to doing what we do. And that certainly is that we do have a research focus, but it's a little different than the largest research institutions in the state. Our research focus is on what is called applied research. And what is different about that is that we challenge our faculty to look at real world and real life questions that are affecting Georgians, this place that we call home. And they're actively engaged along with our students at the undergraduate and graduate level in trying to answer those questions. And it's a very, very real part of our institution, again, just like it is for those other 3 comprehensives. And then we also share a very comprehensive academic offering that in many ways mirrors our largest institutions in the state, including having programs at the doctoral level. There, it gives you a sense of where we fit into the higher ed landscape, and that map there shows you where those 26 institutions are in fact housed across our state. So as we dive in a little farther, let's now talk about just who is VSU. We actually began as a state normal teachers college for women. Now I get asked all the time, what is a normal school? And it goes back many years to a time when if you graduated from 6th grade, and yes, I said graduated, that's as far as most folks went. Certainly it was as far as most women went. They got through 6th grade, then they were eligible to be a teacher in their community. And that was an esteemed job in many communities, particularly in the rural communities, where sometimes, frankly, they would hire folks that had not even finished 6th grade to do those roles. And somewhere along the way, we realized, you know what, we can do better than that. And so an academic curriculum was put together to teach teachers how to teach. And we started seeing teaching for the first time as a true profession. And so that's really how we started out, was training the teachers of Georgia, and particularly training women to be teachers in Georgia. We stayed in all women's institution until, anybody want to guess when that changed? What landmark event happened that changed us and got us to have men enroll? COVID? Over there? No. We had other changes because of that, obviously. Anything else? What's that? Civil rights, I heard it in the back. World War II. World War II, the GI Bill. When the GI Bill came along, there was this massive influx of men who were coming back from the war and wanted to pursue higher education and had the means to do so. And so there was a complete change in higher education. And one of those changes occurred at Valdosta State when we started taking men. Now, we have been growing ever since, including the last several semesters in a row. We've seen an uptick in enrollment, and now we're over 10,000 total students in undergraduate and graduate level. We have our offering of programs, our comprehensive offering is organized in 6 academic colleges. And so we really have just about everything that a student would be looking to pursue they can get at Valdosta State. But our biggest majors include psychology, nursing, business management, biology, and the health sciences. And we truly have students from across our state and beyond. In fact, in this fall's class, we have students from 157 of the 159 Georgia counties. And we also have students from 65 different countries. It gives you a sense of the type of institution that we're talking about, the reach and scope that Valdosta State has. And then, if you're wondering about your own community, guess what? Pretty strong connection beyond the race that I ran going up and down your hills. That's right, we have 172 current students and we have 780 alumni from the local area. So what that tells you is that we've got folks in leadership roles in this community that you're interacting with every day who are proud Blazers, and we're proud of that. All right, a couple of recent enhancements of things that have happened at the university that I thought would be particularly interesting to this crowd. The first is something called the Online College for Career Advancement. Now, it was referenced earlier that I've done a presentation during COVID, and as you all know, everything had to change during COVID, and more importantly, coming out of COVID. And for us, when we were in the middle of a pandemic, we were just trying to figure out how to operate. We also started asking ourselves, what would life be like after the pandemic? What would become our new normal? And one of the things that we paid particularly attention to was the extent to which folks were diving into online education. And we saw all the same advertisements on TV of Southern New Hampshire University, University of Phoenix, and the like, and wanted to see how many Georgians were enrolled in one of those out-of-state institutions. We were shocked to hear that the number was over 78,000. 78,000. And so we started saying, was that just really cool advertising or something more? And then as we dug in more, we realized that no, they do have very cool ads. But beyond that, they had rebuilt what they were doing from the ground up with the eyes of a non-traditional learner who had gone to some college but had not finished a degree. They had those folks in mind, and they thought, what do they need to be successful in a higher education setting? So what we did is we literally spent a couple of years researching this, and we cherry-picked the best pieces of what we found from institutions across the country who, oh, by the way, charge way more to enroll in than what is charged here in Georgia by a university system institution. So you have friends, you have neighbors who are enrolled and actively attending these other institutions. They're paying a lot of money, but they're choosing to do that because of, again, the way that offering is conducted. So again, what do? We picked the best pieces of that. And we rolled that out with the idea that we'll see how that works. We'll see if we can get students to be interested in that. And our business plan said that by the end of our 4th year, maybe we could have 350 students in the program. Well, at the beginning of our 3rd year, we were over 1,400 students, and it's growing very quickly. So you have a lot of now students who are in your region who fit that description, who have folks who have some college, no degree, but you need them to finish that degree. You need them to get the credentials so they can move into advanced leadership roles within your community. We're doing this for those very students, and it's making a difference. One example of that is with our rural teachers. Now, as somebody who loves rural Georgia, who's long made my home in rural Georgia and frankly grew up in rural communities and have always lived in rural communities, what I understand is that rural life is the way to go. You couldn't pay me enough to get me to move to Atlanta, but I also understand we also have challenges. And one of them is that in our school district, we have a heck of a time recruiting and, more importantly, retaining teachers. And so what we started diving into this to think about through that online college, how could we make a difference? And what we came to realize is we have in every one of our rural communities in Georgia, we have parapros. Oh, by the way, they make hardly any of them, about $16,000 to $18,000 a year on average. But they're from that community, they're raising children in that community, they're raising families, that, that's their home. And they don't want to go anywhere, but they can't, they love to be teachers, but they can't stop out. They can't afford to stop out even from that low-paying job in order to go back to school. So what we do is we work with superintendents across the state who nominate parapros who they have connections with. And what they do is we make an agreement with the school district and the superintendent that we'll get their coursework. We will make sure they can do all of their practical experience in their student teaching as part of their work as a parapro, provided the superintendent will offer them a job when and if they finish. And they do that, and they make that agreement. So the student knows up front, if you finish, you're gonna have this opportunity. And so we now have hundreds of students across the state, parapros, who are in that program in rural school districts, again, across Georgia, who are training up to being teachers, and we've begun now graduating our first cohorts of those. And they're going to work, and guess what? When they go to work, what does that do? In that rural community, it opens up another opportunity for a parapro. And guess what? We'll be working with that one to think about how we train them up to be teachers as well. On top of that, we have a renowned and award-winning graduate school, but it's not certainly the only awards that we have received. Our national ranking includes a few that are listed there, including being one of the top 100 best value colleges in America. And we're an institution that very much focuses on upward mobility. So how do we help folks come and look? We're looking for that opportunity, and we help them find a way again to be something. We certainly think that attending any university system, frankly, any institution of higher learning period, is a great choice. We know, as we look at ourselves on a state, as a national landscape, as the state of Georgia, but also on a global landscape, that in order to remain competitive nationally and globally, we have to be in a position where we're training up a higher percentage and credentialing a higher percentage of our young people. That saying that you probably heard before, that there are more honors kids than we have kids. Oh, by the way, that is absolutely real. So it requires us to maximize the potential talent that we have. And again, it's why we say pursuing higher education is absolutely a great choice. We also know that if somebody enrolls in a public institution or an institution that's private in this state, as opposed to looking at an institution that's out of state, sorry, my Warrior fans, that we know they're far more likely to stay in Georgia post their schooling. The statistics bear that out. Well, we want that. We don't want to train up our talent for somebody else. We want them to be here. And why is VSU in particular a great choice? Well, what we have seen is that students who are looking for a way to get away from home but don't want to go too far, that's why they're coming to us. They tend to love our campus and love our proximity. We are a little bigger as a community in Valdosta than LaGrange, but we're not too big. I don't want to be in Atlanta either. And while sometimes our young people are excited about the idea of going to the metro area, the reality is that they're coming from a rural community that can most often be very intimidating. When you come to Valdosta State, and guess what? Everybody's going to know your name. That's very appealing to, again, folks, particularly from this community and others. And what's more, we're going to help them get to the finish line. We are an institution that is uniquely committed to getting people to the finish line of graduation. And why? I'll illustrate this way. Every university has a tradition or multiple traditions that set it apart, make it special. As far as we know, we are the only institution in the country where our most special tradition is our commencement. Everything that happens for us from the day you arrive, moving into the residence halls, or enrolling in one of our online college courses is focused on getting you to commencement. And when it's over, when commencement is nearing the end, at most places, you all have been to graduations before, and you know that whoever's standing up, somebody like me, asks you to remain in your seat and be quiet, and then we'll have this kind of boring recessional to get everybody out. Well, that is absolutely not what we do at Valdosta State. Instead, we know what a life-changing moment that is. And so we celebrate it. I'm going to be honest in telling you that it's not uncommon for me on campus to be talking with sophomores. Yes, I said sophomores, who can already tell me the exact day they will graduate, and tears well up in their eyes telling me about that day. And I'm going to give you just a very quick taste on the video screen of why that is. So welcome to America's Best Community. That's Valdosta State. And it is a truly special place to be a part of, and it's special to get to come here today and to share the news of what we do with you. I hope now you have a sense of why it matters to our entire state, including this community. And while I won't be running any races anytime soon, it truly is great to be back. Thank you very much. Yeah, do we have time for questions? All right, happy to take some. Yes.
What is your 4 and 5 year graduation rate, and what's the employment rate following graduation?
So the employment rate is very difficult to track. And the reason being is because once students are out, we try to track that. You send them surveys and the like, and most of the time, quite frankly, they do not respond. So what we have begun trying to do, and I give the governor and our chancellor a great deal of credit for this, and we're doing this across the university system, is we have begun to work on labor data to try to figure out, can we sense from tax forms where folks are going and be able to track it back. It will take us a little bit of time, quite frankly, to be able to assess all of that data. What we know are the stories. What we know are the individual stories of the folks that we form relationships with. And again, I think that I'm one of them. But we see that every day in terms of they come, they have a desire to go create a new opportunity, and we help them get there. Your first question in terms of graduation rates, what we do is we actively track retention at every level. And by that, I mean from freshman year to sophomore year, from sophomore year to junior year, et cetera. And so I told you, everything we do is focused on getting somebody to that finish line of commencement. Now for us, what we do is we track, and the way the government tracks it is actually a 6-year graduation rate. And so we sit in the 40% range from the group that starts to the group that in the 40s, from the group that starts to the group that finishes during that period. But that is at Valdosta State alone, and that's for those that started with us as first-time, full-time students. That, quite frankly, is probably an antiquated way of judging that. And so what we're trying to do now is to look at, again, I just told you what we have in the form of the online college. Those are students that it's not uncommon that they're transferring credits to us from a dozen institutions, and I'm not making that up. Quite a few military folks, for example, that have been going to multiple institutions and pick up an hour or two at different places. And then we also have students that occasionally will start with us and they'll go on to other places. And I'll give you an example of that. We have an automatic articulation agreement with Georgia Tech. That if somebody comes to us and they're interested, they can do certain types of engineering programs, more applied engineering with us. But if they want to go for full-blown certification, what they do is they come and get the first 2 years of foundational work with us. And provided they get a certain GPA, they're guaranteed admission into Georgia Tech. Now, for those folks who are Tech alumni in the room, I don't have to tell you, and maybe you can tell the others, how difficult it is to get into Tech. It's incredibly difficult, even for Georgians. And sometimes that's been a criticism, but we act as a pathway for that. That helps. Other questions? Yes.
For the online programs, are you hope eligible for them?
Yes. Yes, fully HOPE eligible, and then our foundation also, we're actually in the middle, we're starting the early phases of our capital campaign. As of right now, we're giving about $2 million in scholarship awards each year to students for all different programs. But I will say about that program, again, we designed it very intentionally that we wanted to be the best cost option of anyone who was doing education that way. And for us, what that means is $299 a credit hour is your all-in cost, and I would mean all in. It's so much so that we'll provide all of your course resources, your textbooks and the like, and even if you don't have a laptop, we'll send you one. It's $299 for everything you need. And we're going to take all those credit hours you've done from other places you've been. And what we've tried to do in a way that, quite frankly, public education has been horrible at in the past, but we saw the Southern New Hampshire, University of Phoenix, et cetera, doing, is that we have completely simplified the way we can assess and transfer in those hours. And we can get you answers now very quickly about how quickly we can get you to the finish line. Yes, sir.
So it's become really popular, politicians saying, not everybody needs to go to college. And a lot of times it's a way of lifting up, often, vocational, especially college experience, which is great. So many opportunities there, but often it's said in a way that devalues your credential for your college experience. So how do you all continue to make a case and balance that? How do you continue?
I think the best way to do that is through real data. And so again, one of the things that we've started doing is working with the Department of Labor and looking at tax information. Where we first started, with the thing that we were talking about earlier, was trying to answer that very question. Could we put a dollar amount value on actually pursuing higher education? We did it did it for all of public higher education, not just the university system. We partnered with the technical college system in doing this. And what we know is that when we compare somebody, and of course there's stories out there of folks that made it big on TikTok, or the one who started got straight out of high school, or maybe even didn't finish high school and started a company and they're multi-bazillionaire. Do those happen? Of course they do. Do you want to count on that for your child or grandchild? Probably not. Statistics will bear that out. So what we look is what is the average, and what we know is that somebody graduates from a technical college institution in our state with a 2-year program. Over the course of their lifetime, compared with somebody who got just a high school diploma, they're going to make about $350,000 additional income. That's really good. But what happens if they go to a university system institution and graduate with a bachelor's degree? Over the course of their lifetime, they will earn, on average, $1.4 million more than the person who got a high school degree alone. Our chancellor calls it $1 million deal, and it's close to $1.5 million deal. And oh, by the way, if you get a master's degree and a doctorate, now we start getting well over $2 million. So you see to us, we think that it's really powerful to know those numbers. Because again, if you have somebody that you care about, what do you want to do? Maximize their opportunity for success, why they should be going to college. Any other questions? Yes, sir.
Could you give us an example?
So we have something called the Center for Regional Impact. And I'll give you an example where we're thinking of a couple of things that they did. I'll pick this one. One of the things we work sometimes, and we're focused on something called experiential learning. We talked about how has COVID changed higher education. And yes, we mentioned the online college earlier, but it's changed all of education, and certainly it's changed all of Valdosta State. We just rolled out this summer a new strategic plan called VSU 2030, where we had actively focused on the question of what would higher ed look like in 2030. And because of what you talked about, that questioning of the value of a degree, what we understood was one thing that we had to do, beyond just being able to show the numerical data, was that we had to be able to show the experiential impact. And that would happen by getting students during their time with us to be actively engaged in the world of work. And that we could make an impact in our communities by doing so. So for example, we were reached out to by a particular business that was operating, and they were having really significant time. It happens to be a tourism related business. And they were having really difficult times trying to figure out how could they better market what they did. And draw business in. And we thought it had value to the state of Georgia. We thought it had value to the community. It wasn't in our community, but it was in another community in our state. And we thought we had an opportunity to bring our resources to bear to help that community. So what did we do? Well, that's a faculty member who had expertise in marketing, used that as a teaching instrument for her students. And so what we did is we had a couple different classes at different levels of their experience dive into that business over the course of about a 9-month period and completely reshaped what it would look like inside from an aesthetics perspective and how it would market itself and even down to its business plan. And she worked with other faculty across the institution. That's applied. That's taking what you're trying to do and you're learning in the classroom, but bringing it to life. And frankly, that's what research is in many ways. It's trying to test out questions and seeing what can I do with it. And guess what? That business has totally taken off because of the work that they do. And I can promise you that owner goes to anyone and everyone who will listen and talk about the value of what's happening at Valdosta State. There are truly examples of that literally across the state where we have been doing it. I'll give you one more. The last time we did the census, what we know in rural Georgia is that we historically, going back to the 2010 census, had a highly significant undercount in rural counties. Does that matter? Well, it absolutely matters because state and federal resources are allocated based upon census population information. Okay, and so what did we do? We actually looked at a few counties that were cut to the 2 counties in particular, who were rural counties who had figured out a way in the 20 census. We didn't know what it was, but we knew they had greatly exceeded, they were the only counties in a whole geographic area that had grown. And there really wasn't any kind of logical reason to say they should have performed different. So we went to those counties and tried to figure out what had they done. Again, that's research. That's trying to dive into questions that need answers. And we found some examples of where they had used the leadership in the community to try to make a difference, and they did it at a grassroots level and very organized. So we poured into that. And so we actually had, the governor made us part of the census task force for the state, and we poured into how could we increase statewide census counts, particularly in rural communities. Now, we know COVID dramatically impacted the 2020 census, but I think they can't even begin to think what it would have been, what our numbers would have looked like had we not done that effort. And because of that, we're seeing significant financial impact in this county and counties throughout, particularly rural counties throughout Georgia, because we were able to increase those numbers. And now we have a model that we can take forward and replicate and try to advance to the next level in 2030. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Dr. Carbajal. We really appreciate your being here today. In honor of this meeting, we'll make a donation to Polio Plus, which, as you know, is our effort to eradicate polio worldwide. And I really appreciated learning about the graduation celebration. That was really great. So I know your students really have something exciting to look forward to. So thank you again. Just a couple of very quick announcements before we dismiss. Next week, don't forget LaGrange College. If you have not responded to let us know if you are able to attend, please do so. You can do that as you leave, or you can just send me an email. November 13th, we have the Ray C. Anderson Foundation. November 20th, we'll have a representative from Get Georgia reading. And then the next week, we will not meet because it's Thanksgiving. And if you all would stand and please join me in the 4-way test. We'll dismiss after that. Maybe you all have it. Okay, 4-way test. Is it the truth? Is it fair? Will it be? Will it be? Thank you. Y'all have a great rest of the week.